For all things outdoors, listen to the father of two, the Jesus-loving TV show hosting hairy, true-blood American redneck, Ben Cole.
And listen to the outdoor filming, chef cooking, chocolate milk drinking, John Weissmuller. And we are
Rooted Podcast. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Rooted Podcast. On this episode, we kind of decided that maybe our viewers, some of you have been here since the beginning, some of y'all may be brand new, but either way, we feel like that we need to share a little bit about ourselves. You know, we really think we need to kind of deep dive and give y'all a backstory of who we are, how we got into the outdoor industry, and just what we like. And that way, maybe we can connect a little better, us and y'all. So that's what this episode is going to be. I'm sure we'll throw a hunting story in there, but all in all, this episode is about us getting better connected with you. But as always, Ben, start us off right.
all right, y'all. In the book of James, first chapter, verse 2 through 4. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. And folks, with the world the way it is today, we need to be steadfast in our faith, and we need to keep our eyes on Jesus Christ. That is the most important thing that we can do right now, is not let the devil beat us down, because he's trying his very best. He's trying to shut us up, and we absolutely cannot let it happen. So be steadfast, be strong, and don't let any kind of trials bother you. Just keep on steaming ahead.
Well, and you know, you speak of that, letting the devil win, and you know, or the devil's trying to win, right? And sometimes in life, man, it can be really hard to keep on, you know, on the straight and narrow, and to keep positive in things, especially, you know, early on, and especially for you, early on in your hunting career, if that's what you want to call it. You know, uh, for those of you who don't know, and I'll let Ben talk about this in more depth, but you know, Ben is a photographer. One of the many things about that he does by trade, and you know, you may have seen some of his stuff in various hunting and fishing magazines out there, but it wasn't always like that. There was plenty times where, you know, and I'm sure y'all have been there, where you get told no, and you get told you're not good enough, and you get told you'll never make it, and you'll never make something of yourself, and you just have to keep on going. And just like Ben was saying, you gotta be steadfast in your faith, and you have to just keep that faith and keep going, and don't let the devil win, and don't let these people be right. You need to prove them wrong, and more importantly, you need to prove yourself right. And I'll let Ben talk about that a little more, because it's a really fascinating stories really, because you know, it's not like he was just in these big time magazines from the jump.
No, definitely not. Man, I tell you, it's funny that we're talking about who we are on this episode, because I was telling somebody the other day that, you know, when I was 6 years old, I remember telling my mom, hey, I'm going to be the next Will Primos. I was so fired up about hunting, man. My dad took me. I killed my first deer when I was 6. So, a little basket rack 8-point buck. I've got him mounted here in my office still to this day. Always will. He will be around for as long as I am. And man, just looking back and thinking about all the different things that just my dad, even my mom, man. My dad was out of town, so my mom took me duck hunting one morning because I couldn't drive yet. I think I was like 14 or 15, something like that. So I had her take me to the public walk-in spot. I was like, man, I've got to go kill a duck. Got to. Like, I got to go do this. And I said, Mom, will you please take me? And she said, yeah, I will. Oh, man. She did. And she was a trooper. Here we go. 3 o'clock in the morning. No, it may have been 2 o'clock in the morning. we tear out, go to this the local walk-in spot. Didn't see a duck. But dude, my mama was a trooper. Now she went with me and she sat in the truck the whole time and let me just walk on down the path there and hunt. But dude, it's just memories like that that last forever. And speaking of keeping the faith and keeping rooted in what we're doing, man, there was a lot of times that I thought, man, this ain't ever gonna work. It ain't never gonna work. Everybody's right. I'm not gonna make it in this. I'm gonna be right here where I've always been, just dreaming. Because I'm a dreamer, man. I am. And the Lord had a different plan for me, and I still haven't fully figured that out yet.
Ever changing.
Yeah. It's ever evolving all the time, and I've learned though just to go with it instead of trying to fight it. It's much easier if I just let Him guide my steps instead of me being like, "Oh yeah, I'm the boss here," whatever. It's like, man, stop fooling yourself. Just let God be God, man, and let Him show you the path you need to go down. It's a whole lot easier. But as far as proving myself and everybody else wrong, I really started out like that. All I cared about was proving everybody wrong instead of looking at what God had in store for my life. So I was doing it for the wrong reasons to start with. And I got told no a lot, man. I tried every way possible to do photography, do all different things.
And what did that look like, Ben? Whenever you say that, you don't need to out names or papers or anything, but like what is I don't know how old you are at that time, but what is that Ben Cole doing and getting told no? Like, are you just calling up people? Are you talking to them face to face? Are you going into businesses? What does that look like?
Yeah, man. So I was really talking to anybody that would listen. Anybody that would give me a listening ear. If it was local businesses or what, man. And it was kind of funny because I sat there and I was starting to learn how to film, and I was on a friend's boat, and he told me, he said, "You will never film on my boat, ever." I was like, okay, cool story, man. That's great. It's just, that's just one of the things that stuck with me, and it's like, well, I've never taken no as an answer. I'm one of those kind of people that keeps going until I get a yes. So I just started taking my own boat. Moral of the story is I had my own boat too. So, man, and I didn't really get into the writing game until after college. So, I'd always dreamed about it, always wanted to do it, and, tried 100 different ways to get into the hunting industry. And I started off with a $250 Canon Rebel T3i on Facebook Marketplace for $250. Came with 2 lenses, and that is where I started, dude. I didn't know anything about a camera other than how to turn it on. That was it. I didn't know what kind of SD cards I needed. I didn't know how to change ISO, f-stop. I didn't know any of that stuff, man. I didn't know lighting. I didn't know how to do the focus manually. I didn't know how to do any of that, man. And I sat down and got that camera, and I went to a local park. And I sat there, and I took pictures of ducks for hours and hours and hours. And went back, had no clue how to edit them, didn't have any sort of editing software whatsoever, didn't shoot in RAW like I do now. So there was a lot of things that were, had to be learned the hard way in the beginning, because I didn't just wake up and be in a ton of different magazines. That didn't happen. In fact, there's probably majority of people out there that don't even know that I am in magazines because I don't talk about it. I kind of keep that to myself. But it's the truth.
I brought it up.
you brought it up, and you put me in the spotlight there, so I'll take it. You know, man, the thing is I just had a no quit attitude, and to be real honest with you, there's only a select few people that I care what they think, and it's my mom, my wife, my dad, my brother and sister, my family, and you, and a couple other dudes. That's it, man.
Yeah.
That's all. That's it. You know, other than that, I don't really care. So, somebody wants to tell me I'm never going to do it. Well, not only did I have a point to prove, but God was also like, checkmate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was sitting there thinking, man, I remember a time specifically. I was sitting at my house. This is before I met my wife, so I'm 28, 29, and thinking, man, there ain't no way this is ever going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Man, I had a whole drawer full of cameras. Like, I tried every gimmick camera on the market, thinking, man, this is going to be the next best thing. If I could get back all that money that I spent on the crap that I bought for filming, dude, oh my gosh, man. Even back then, dude, I bought an app for my phone that made it film in 4K. You know, it's supposed to be like this next new thing, super cool. And yeah, that was a waste of money. Total waste of money. I should have just bought, you know, whatever 4K camera was out at the time, but I didn't, you know, because I didn't know. I was I was still very green, still learning. So fast forward a little bit, you know, still learning, still doing my thing. Turns out one of the people I know, their son worked for Remington, and I'd just gotten started writing, man. Like, finally landed my first article after being told no 12 times, and had the 13th one published. Now, when I say told no 12 times, I was actually an agronomist at this time, working for a fertilizer company, and dude, I had a pretty sweet gig. You know, I just chose to do something different because I didn't want to have a boss, so to say. I wanted to be my own boss, and I wanted to be in God's creation more, man, because that is what I've been drawn to ever since I was a little kid, and it's never changed. I love every second of it. I love every aspect of it. So I was sitting there in my office thinking, well, I guess I'm going to try writing because I have not tried that avenue yet. Granted, I hated writing in school, hated it with a passion. In fact, I said I would never, ever do it again. When I graduated college, I said, done with the writing. Boom, ain't happening again. BC will not ever write. And here we are, writing.
Yeah.
But it was more enjoyable because it was what I wanted to write about. It wasn't about some novel that I didn't give a crap about. You know, it was just some awesome, cool hunting story. I mean, awesome for me. You know, it may have not been very awesome for everybody else, but it was fantastic for me to be able to write down my experiences and share them with people. So,
what was your first article and where at?
My first article was in, man, that's a good question. I have to go back and look. I think it was Take 'em Foul. And that was a publication that I wrote about a sea duck hunting trip that I did in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Because, you know, I'm trying to do that Grand Slam, and I put that on pause the past few years because now I'm to the big hunts like Alaska and, you know, some pretty far destinations. So I had 2 kids, so I have to, you know, prioritize my 2 children at the moment. But I will finish my slam. Don't you worry, America. It's going to happen. I will have the North American Waterfowl Slam, and it's going to be epic. And now we're going to film the rest of it. So I might even start over and film all of it.
Why not? That's a good excuse to shoot a lot of ducks, right?
Hey, that's a good idea. A good excuse to go and hunt all kind of places.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyway, I got the first article published. I was ecstatic, man. Just absolutely ecstatic that somebody finally told me yes. It was huge. Biggest thing that's
I'm sure.
biggest thing that's ever happened to me in that moment was that right there. Fast forward, I get introduced to my friend at Remington. He was like, man, I need to introduce you to the PR lady. Her name was Jessica. She was awesome because aside from that first article, she was the catalyst that believed in me and gave me my first real opportunity and invited me on a hunt last minute with Remington to Arkansas. And she said, so where are you going to publish this article? I said, yeah, it'll be published. Had no clue, man. I was like, bro, how am I going to do this? Like, I don't know where I'm going to publish this thing. What in the world? She's like, well, can you go to Arkansas? I said, yes, I can. Sign me up. I'll be there. So I'm a real opportunist kind of person. Like, if a really good opportunity comes by, I'm going to we're right on in there. I can't help it. I've got to do it, man. And so I go to Arkansas, worried to death the whole time about, how in the world am I going to fulfill my obligations here? Instead of just thinking, well, God's got a good plan. He's probably got it all figured out. Well, he did. I got to camp. I met some amazing folks. Ended up becoming friends with a guy that was an editor for a magazine, Truth About Guns. Go figure. And he was like, hey, man, we'd love to take your piece for this hunt. And I was like, score. Thank you, Lord. You done provided a way for me. A way for me to make her happen again.
How about it?
Yeah. So, yeah, we went on the hunt, man. It was awesome. I got my first real gig. Ended up having a great hunt. We shot quite a few birds and, got to stay in a really nice lodge. It was the Stan Jones Mallard Lodge over there in Alicia, Arkansas. Beautiful place, beautiful property. And then, man, it like snowballed. Then they wanted to take me to Canada to duck hunt. They wanted to take me to South Texas to turkey hunt. It was awesome. I went to Texas with them once, and then I went to Canada twice and duck hunted. Dude, you want to talk about awesome? Hunting ducks in Canada was phenomenal. And I have a couple of people here that I want to give accolades to because they've been very instrumental in my success in the riding world. A guy by the name of Brad Fenson and Kat Ainsworth. Those two right there have helped me so much when I was riding all the time. They introduced me to people, constantly trying to help me get into that world. And they did a lot, and I'm forever grateful for them taking the time to do that for me. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you. Y'all are part of the reason why I'm here today. So with that being said, man, Canada's awesome. We shot the fire out of the ducks and geese. And it's not like down here in the States. Down here you got to work them. Whack, 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 whack. Up there you go. Whack, whack, whack. Locked up. Coming down. Right in the decoys. Over. Boom, 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 boom. Ducks and geese falling everywhere. It was the most magical thing I've ever seen. It was impeccable, John. I can't wait to get back to Canada. Actually, I cannot wait. And the food was delicious. I ate so much. It seems like every time I go on a trip, and especially with you, I eat far more than I ever should.
Yeah, you'll have that.
So,
oh man, but Canada will spoil you, dude. And whether it's fishing, I mean, yeah, we have got to go back up there for sure for all of it.
Yeah, we do, man. What we need to do is schedule a duck and goose hunt, and then find somewhere close by that we can go muskie fishing, right around the corner or something. Go have us a dang good time.
Oh yeah,
fish on the line, man.
Gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
all day long.
So fast forward from Canada. I'm just giving the short rundown here because we don't have a whole lot of time. Fast forward a little bit. We are now trying to make a run at the TV world. I have always had the TV on my mind. Always wanted to do it. I just didn't know how to get there. And now that I've made some contacts in the industry and been published in magazines like Delta Waterfowl, Truth About Guns, Carnivore, a couple different ones like that, I'd made some friends in the industry and thought, well, here's my time to get her started. I was actually sitting in my office when I was a John Deere salesperson and came up with Rooted television. It came into my mind because all I could think about was being rooted in Christ. So I called up a buddy. His name is Shane Wills. He's a great dude. Awesome dude. Very talented at what he does. And said, hey, man, look, I need 2 deer antlers and a duck head coming out the middle, and I wanted to say Rooted television. Boom. Like clockwork, he had it to me. And it sat in my office, in my desk, in the reserve files for a long time. For over almost 2 years. It sat in the reserve file until I moved to Tennessee. Met my wife, my beautiful, lovely wife, Melissa. She's my buddy now. She is my pal. Nonetheless, she was the real push for me to give this a real good go, because I was like, oh, I'm never going to be good enough to do this. I was really stuck in this mindset of there's no way God's going to use somebody like me that is broken, not very nice, has been mean a lot in my life, was a drunk, was everything, man. How is he going to use me to reach people for him? Dude, I was scared. I'm not going to lie to you. I was scared that it was just going to be trash. I thought, man, this is just going to be, it's never going to work. It's going to fail. And then I was sitting at lunch one day with a gentleman, and I could not, for the life of me, come up with any reason why God chose me. I was like, why me, Lord? Why me? What makes me different than anybody else other than you in my heart? And I was talking to him because I was seeking wisdom, because I didn't know the answer to this question. And he said, you're willing. I was like, oh, okay. Never thought about it that way, but I'm sure there's a lot of other people that are willing. And he said, yeah, maybe, but you're 100% like entrenched. You're willing to do whatever it takes to go the distance, to go the lengths to make it happen. I was like, fair point. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. And I mean, dude, this is my calling, right? So I'm sitting there trying to film myself, and it's kind of funny how you get around certain people and everybody wants to be in front of the camera. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's like, hey, whose name's on that check?
Yeah.
So I'm going to be in front of the camera most of the time, but it's like different with you and Ryan and stuff like that. Like, I don't mind sharing at all. But when checks,
but there's a mindset, that people don't really get. It's there's certain people, and there's a few select people that you've been around that have never asked for it. And then there's a lot of people who every time they come to town, so to speak, they are wondering where their camera time is. And it's like, hey, mi amigo, that's not how this game works.
No, you want your camera time, go start your own business. Yeah. And then put your name on the checks. And so, folks, fast forward a little bit further. I'm in Tennessee, trying my best. I've already failed 3 or 4 times to make a TV show. And now I run across a man named Sean Templeton. I know it's hard to believe. I met a barber, and I was hanging out in the barber shop. I got long hair, long beard, but let me tell you something. That dude is a phenomenal barber, and he is really good with a straight razor around the edges of these magnificent beard locks. He makes it look real nice and straight with that straight razor. It's real silky smooth. I'm doing it just to impress my wife. It's like, hey, look, I took care of myself today. Look at this. Look at these lines.
Exactly.
She's
Check
like,
them out.
She's like, you're still a goof. I'm like, yeah, I know. Whatever.
Yeah, well.
So I told Sean, I was like, hey, man, I really need somebody to help me film this stuff. If you run into anybody, please call me. And folks, that is when John entered the Rooted Television / podcast family. I got a call from old Sean, and I'll let John tell the rest of the story here in a minute. But I got a call from Sean. He said, "Hey, dude, I met this guy named John. He was just in my barber's chair. Seemed like a really good kid. You know, he's really eager, really wants to do it. Here is his phone number." I was like, "All right, sweet." So I called him, and here he is. So, John, why don't you fill in the rest of that story and kind of tell us where you started and how everything has worked for you and our partnership in this podcast, and let's just really dive into you, man.
Yeah, so, Ben, kind of to finish up that story, Ben calls me. At this point in my life, I'm in college. I'm going to Middle Tennessee State in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I'm in my 1-bedroom apartment. Small, tiniest thing I've ever been in my life. You could lean on the fridge and cook on the stove. I mean, buddy, it was tiny. And and I just remember I was in there and I got a call, and it was from a number I didn't know. And I think it may have even said Alabama on it, on the number, But anyway, I'm like, who in the world is this? And I answer, and he's like, "Hey, old Sean told me to call you. I'm Ben Cole." I was like, "Oh yeah, man, that's all great, blah blah blah, whatever." We chit chatted for about an hour, and the moral of the story was, he's like, "This is my plan. Basically, I want to go shoot a bunch of stuff. I just need someone to film it. I don't know if I can pay you, but we're gonna figure it out as we go. Are you in?" And I was like, "Yeah, sounds like a good time. Let's go." And ever since then, and one of the coolest things for me, and then I'll kind of back up and tell the history. But you go to school, and I've got a bachelor's degree in business administration, and I'm going to school with all sorts of cats, and these people are working for logistics departments and big companies, and some buddies are becoming big time accountants, and just they're some people are having an awesome corporate gig, and they're just crushing it, making a ton of money, and some not so much money, but you can tell they're getting started, and there's a good path. There's a very foreseen future that has been done by many, many people, and I think that's great. I love that for those people. It just wasn't for me, and so I get this. I'm doing all this schoolwork, and then I go home and tell my parents that I'm going to go film for someone that may not be able to pay me, but for some reason, I just feel like it's what I'm supposed to do. And they're like, and to their credit, they didn't blink. They're like, "All right, go for it." I was like, "All right, cool." So, one of the biggest defining moments for me so far, and obviously I'm still early in this game, especially the filming TV side, is we were in Oklahoma. We had never filmed a successful hunt ever yet. We're in Oklahoma. Somehow, some way, we got invited by two big time companies. I'll say it. Two big companies. We were very, very blessed to get an invite to this awesome camp. And, personally, I had done nothing in this industry really. And I was like, dude, I felt like a fraud. I was like, what am I doing here? How did I get invited to this camp? That I don't think I think they got the wrong address or something. I shouldn't be invited here. This is crazy. And I'll never. It was so awesome because we were there for I don't know, a week, 4 days, 5, whatever it was.
I think it was 5 or 6 days.
But during that time, I was there on one of the days was my birthday. It was early October, and I was like, "This is sick, man!" And it was just really cool. And this is why I'll never forget the day. So October 8th, my birthday, we were sitting there hunting, and I just remember thinking, I'm in the blind, I'm filming, like, dude, I'm here, man. I'm filming on this awesome ranch. Got invited by these great companies to film a hunting show. How freaking awesome is this, man? Just a year ago, I was writing essays about, Lord knows what and whatever. I was in some business class and, you know, learning about whatever. And it's like, now here I am doing this. And then the very next day, October 9th, is when we shot, and see, I say we because it really is a big team effort. But Ben shot the deer, and filmed it, and it was like, in the moment, you're like, holy crap, that was really awesome. And then it kind of settles in, like, oh, dude, we just filmed our first episode. Okay, this is awesome. So that story is what really is kind of cements it for me. I'll never forget that. I will forget the year. Is what was that? Probably 21 or 22. Probably 21, I think. I'd have to go back and look. I just know it was October 9th. I do for sure remember that. But anyway, my point is I'll never forget that feeling of like, all right, we can do this. And then just like anything else, man, it just starts snowballing. But how did I get there? That goes all the way back to when I was 15, 14 or 15. A family friend of ours had won tickets on the radio to something called the National Wild Turkey Federation Convention and Sports Show. And buddy, I couldn't tell you what any of that meant when I was 14 or 15, whatever it was. I thought, oh my goodness, I don't know. Maybe I was 30, whatever, however old I was. And I just remember my dad going, boy, get in the van. We're going somewhere. I was like, all right, cool. Sounds fantastic. And so we're going, and of course, I guess I was 13. Now I'm sitting here really thinking about it, and I'm like, "Hey man, hey dad, where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going?" And I finally pestered him enough. He told me, and then of course he said the National Wild Turkey Federation Sports Show, and I had no idea what he was talking about, and I was like, "What is that?" And I really wasn't all the way into hunting yet. I was kind of like, I was more of my brother's thing, and I was more into sports and stuff, basketball and football and whatever. So I was like, I don't know about all this, but whatever. So so we get there, and if you've ever been, it's split up into two different rooms. You walk in the first room, and it's like that's where registration is, and then there's it's changed throughout the years, but this year it was like knick-knacky kind of things and auctions and paintings, and there were some trucks in the air at the time. I think Dodge or someone sponsored it, and it was just kind of just stuff. And then there was a couple booths, but then you turn the corner and you get into the big old warehouse looking deal, like kind of the main show floor. And buddy, it just throws up hunting, fishing, everything. Ducks, coyotes, deer, turkeys, I mean, everything. And I was like, holy crap, this thing is huge. And we're walking through, and we see this guy named Jerry Peterson from Woods Wise Game Calls. And my dad walks right up to him like he's known him for 100 years. Jerry, man, oh my goodness, it's so good to see you. Shakes his hand, blah, blah, blah. Introduces me. And I'm like, who the heck is this guy? I don't know anybody. I mean, I don't know anything from anything. But he starts talking about these game calls he has, and he was talking about a deer call, and I still have it to this day. And he talks about it's called a super hot mama call, and it literally, whenever you kind of blow on the call, it sounds like the deer saying "mama," and he goes "meh, meh." And what it is it's a fawn, basically calling for their mom, and you can also do it for calling for a buck, but that's a whole nother discussion for a different day. But he's teaching me about these calls, and I'm like, dude, this is the coolest thing ever. I'm like, you talk to an animal. How freaking cool is that? I didn't know that was a thing. So from that year until the next year, so the show's in February. So February until the next February, I had bought a bunch of his calls, and then I went back and I laid them all out, and I said, Jerry, I need you to show me how to use these calls. I bought them, but I don't know what I'm doing. And he went and showed me how to use it, when to use it, and why. And then I bought a bunch more stuff that year, and then so then from that February until the following, I wrote Jerry a letter. I mean, I sat there, inked the paper, and I wrote him a letter, thanking him for his time and efforts, yada yada. And I finally asked, can I be in your booth? I would love to work your booth with you. And for the following 4 or 5 years, I worked the booth at Woods Wise, and through that, I met so many people. I mean, my gosh, you go to those trade shows and you just meet so many folks. And I was so fortunate to be with Jerry, who is just a godfather, basically. He's part of the reason that Turkey Federation Convention even exists. He started it, him and a group of people, years and years and years ago. And so he knew everybody. So it was just so awesome. And being in that, I got into some competition turkey calling. Ben, you talked about not knowing what to do whenever you bought that camera, and you're like, all I know is how to turn it on.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy, when I first bought a mouth diaphragm turkey call, I thought I was gonna die. I mean, I didn't know. Oh my gosh, I'll never forget, man. I was at Bass Pro, and I just bought one. I couldn't even tell you what it was, but I was like, this looks cool, and I was like, I mean, oh God, it is awful. It was bad. And then you go from that to, I meet Jerry, and then, he teaches me a bunch of stuff, and I use his calls and all this and that. And then, next thing I know, I'm at the Grand Nationals in Nashville, and I'm like, holy crap, this is great. I win a state, I place in a certain way in state, and I get invited to the Grand Nationals, and it's like, that's a really cool moment. You go from barely being able to blow this call on the way back home from the Bass Pro to this Grand National stage. That's a really, really cool feeling, man. So, I can see the correlation from not knowing how to barely turn the camera on to being in a magazine to, barely knowing how to blow the turkey call to being on the Grand National stage. It's quite a feeling. So from there, I went to college in Murfreesboro, like I said, and I had picked up a camera my later years in high school, early college, because my first 2 years of school, I went to a community college here in my hometown, and got all my basic credits or whatever. But so while that was happening, I picked up a camera, and I just started a YouTube channel with me and a buddy, and I would film some other buddies, and it was just fun. I didn't think nothing of it. I never thought like I'm going to do this forever. I was just like, this is cool. I get to document my hunt. I get to hang out with buddies. This is a good time. And little did I know some little, ways of doing things I would learn, just little tricks and kind of a foundational base of how to run a camera, kind of, sort of. And then, I'd go to school in Murfreesboro, and I'd meet a barber that the only reason I met him is because I needed a haircut, and I just Googled, like closest barber near me. And I lived on, for those of you that know Murfreesboro, I lived on Alumni Drive. And if you keep driving down there, eventually you're going to hit this thing called the Square. And right on the Square, it's like 2 miles down the road, was Woods Viking Barbershop and Sean Templeton. And I didn't even know he was the owner, dude. I just walked in there. I didn't know they were busy. I live in a little town. I didn't know you had to make appointments to things. I was so clueless. I had no idea that dude took appointments. I just walked in. That's what you do in my town. You just walk on in. So I walked in there, and I just walked right up to him because I believe when you walk in, he's like the first chair on the right, or was anyway.
Yeah, he was.
And
he is.
And I just walked up to him, like, "Hey man, what's up, brother? I need a haircut." And he just looked at me like, "All right, sit on down, cuz." And just got to talking, and next thing you know, I got a phone call from Ben Cole. So that's kind of the story of me there. So it all started, and it all started from radio tickets from a family friend, and now with the podcast, I know we've told that story before, but just very, very quickly, Ben had a podcast before for a few different reasons. It didn't work out. And it took me about a year to convince him to do another one. And he said he would do it as long as I was there. So now Rooted Podcast is here. So that's how we got here. I thought it was just important to tell people and a good reminder to people, like, we haven't been here forever. And also we're not going to stay here forever. We're only continuing to grow and go up. We've got a lot of exciting things in the mix here. Things are happening for the Rooted family. That's all I can say on that. But it is some cool things are coming down the pipe. But I just thought it was cool to hear kind of where you started and where I started, and just it's always a good reminder to know that you don't always just start out knowing everything. You got to start somewhere, and you don't just wake up published, and you don't just wake up on the grand national stage. You got to get there, and that's okay. That's part of life.
You got to wake up, have a dream, make a plan, execute, but the main focus is to keep your eyes on Jesus the whole time.
Yes.
And let him guide your path. Because I'm telling you, take my advice. I've failed a lot. Don't try to do it in your own accord. I'm not saying don't give out the effort. I'm saying listen to what he's trying to tell you and then make a move. Because it's a lot easier if you just listen the first time. But that's all I got to say about that.
Yep. So, I just wanted to tell people that if it ain't working out, don't give up. Don't give in. Just put your faith in God and just keep on going. It's all going to work out, man. It's you just got to believe. So, other than that, though, man, that's really all I've got to say. I think I rambled on enough there. I'm sure people are tired of listening to me by now.
I think we covered both sides pretty well, because I rambled on for quite a while there about, made my circles, my rabbit circles. I come around to what I was going to say eventually. I tie it all together, but it takes me a second to get there. So,
yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. But, hey, man, with that, folks, don't forget that you can support us by going to our store, and you can order some awesome merch, shirts, hats, hoodies, all kind of stuff from our good friends at CH Lone Star Pro. And there is a link in the description for you to support this podcast. We would greatly appreciate it if we could get some support, because this is what we love to do, and we love to share the gospel. And with that, the Redneck is out.
See y'all.
For all things Rooted Podcast and Rooted Television, and I mean hats, shirts, hoodies, and other merch, check out our friends at CH Lone Star Pro and the link that is in our description.